Hey guys, my name is Rob Zazweta. I know you haven't heard much from me this semester. I've kind of been in the background helping Josh out, getting stuff prepared and presented to you guys. But he asked me to do a presentation on critical incident stress, and I'm going to talk to you about that from a firefighter's perspective. I work for Chino Valley Fire District, and I've been involved with the member services and the wellness fitness program that we have out here in Chino. And so I'm going to talk to you about the critical incident stress and what kind of tactics and things you should be looking for to mitigate those problems. So as we go on, I want to talk to you about the objectives. For this lecture, we're going to identify some stressful situations that are involved in the fire service, and we're going to deal with the tactics and how we can deal with that kind of stress. Identifying the effects of stress on firefighters, and then identifying the organizations of assistance to stress and the better living lifestyle for firefighters. So the life of a firefighter is a very dynamic process, and as most of you probably already know, some of the things that firefighters deal with on a regular basis could cause a lot of stress, and it could also, put you in situations that are not common for most occupations. So some of the characteristics, strenuous, accountable, exciting, high expectations, dangerous, all these things are just part of the job. And as you continue your careers or begin your careers, you're going to start to understand these and see how you deal with them in those different types of situations. Some of the common stresses for firefighters, I think a lot of times our communities forget what we do in the background. Everyone that comes to work on a regular basis, they've got their own lives. They're regular people. They deal with things on a regular basis. They have obligations. Those obligations consist of family. You have obligations to your community. You have obligations to the fire department you work for. All those things cause a lot of stress on people. I know that being a husband and being a father and then working for the fire department, sometimes it's really hard to balance those things out, and it can cause a lot of stress on somebody. So understanding that and learning how to utilize your time management skills, learning how to separate yourself from the different situations is what can really get you through those stressful times. So dealing with life-saving situations and the expectations that you are expected to have, not only from your community but from your coworkers, from your family, from your friends. Sometimes people that don't understand the job of a fireman have a hard time understanding what you're dealing with on a regular basis. So obviously when you work in public safety and emergency response, you're going to be dealing with both life and death situations. On a regular basis, you'll see people die, but you might even see people be born. So you're going to get both aspects of that spectrum. So we've already talked a little bit about the stresses of family and how those obligations can sometimes pile up on you. But for some reason, or a lot of reasons, I should say, the divorce rate in the fire service and public safety in general is extremely high. We all know that it's a stressful occupation. It's sometimes very difficult for families to not only understand the occupation but to deal with it, because when you're gone for a long period of time, tending to everyone else's problems in your community, and sometimes your family could feel neglected or like they're not being taken care of. And so the divorce rate is very high. A lot of times when you're away from your children and your family, that causes stress, because if your children are going through something or your wife is going through something and you're not there, it makes it very difficult for you to focus on your job and for you to really apply yourself into what you're doing. Everybody came from somewhere, so everybody has parents and siblings and family outside of what they're dealing with at home, but one of my coworkers just recently lost his mother, and I know that was very challenging for him. He lives down in Phoenix, and with his mother dying, he wasn't able to be by her side all the time, and a lot of times being so far away from home and not being able to deal with that situation made a lot of stress on him, and it made it really difficult for him to focus at times. So we had a lot of time at the kitchen table where we just kind of sat and talked and let him vent and whatever we needed to do to help him get through the situation. Obviously, the economical crisis that we're going through right now has caused a lot of stress for people. People have lost their homes, their vehicles, their wives may have lost their jobs, and the financial struggles that they're going through at their own home makes it very difficult to be gone for a 24-hour shift, and sometimes you may feel like you're not utilizing your time and making the most money you possibly can. So all those kind of stresses just compile onto one another, and all it takes is one big incident to really set somebody off and cause them to feel overwhelmed with the stress that they're dealing with. So when you're dealing with stress, what are some ways that you deal with stress? A lot of times people take in exercise, sleeping regularly, getting good 8 hours, 7 hours of sleep, uninterrupted, which doesn't always happen at the fire departments or with police. You're not able to get those full hours of sleep that your body needs to recuperate and obtain the energy to just go on. So spending time with your family, it might just be something as simple as going out to dinner or going to the park and playing with your kids. Something simple like that is very beneficial when you're dealing with stress. Taking a vacation, you may have to utilize your days off and just get out of town for a little bit, just to re-energize and reboot your own inner self. So a lot of people rely on religion and their faith and meditation, things like that. Always obtaining a healthy, nutritious lifestyle is one of the best aspects of getting back on track and monitoring your stress levels and being able to deal with those situations. So personal coping, community coping, that could be as simple as meeting with your friends on your days off. It might even be your coworkers that you just get together, go play a round of golf, or meet them at the gym and work out, and go out to dinner, be able to sit down and talk with people, and just to get yourself away. One of the things you don't want to start doing is utilizing that stress reduction kit that's on the screen here. That's not going to get anybody anywhere. So some negative ways of dealing with stress. I think we've all heard these before. It's just like anything else. When you start taking on alcohol and drugs as your coping mechanism, it's when you could really get into some trouble. The overuse of prescription drugs, illegal drugs, ignoring it, that's not going to get anything any better, and averting to aggressive behavior. This is not the time where you want to go and become a cage fighter on Whiskey Row. That's definitely not going to benefit anybody. It's just going to get you into some legal trouble, and it's not going to get the stress out of your system. So most of you might be EMTs or paramedics, and you'll notice that some of these symptoms and the effects of stress, they're almost identical to the stages of depression, some psychological issues, some behavioral issues. You'll notice that these symptoms here on the right hand screen will mimic a lot of those symptoms. So the stress can affect you in so many different ways, all the way down from your brain down to your immune system, your skin, your heart, causing pancreatic issues that could lead on to diabetes, the intestinal problems that can cause some digestive issues for you, weight gain, acne, all those kind of issues. You have high cholesterol, high blood pressure. All those issues can then cause stress on the family, which then just continues to compound onto the effects of what's really eating you inside. Your inability to be happy, your lack of focus, lack of sleep, and you'll notice that all of those are just symptoms of depression, because that's basically what depression is. It's untreated stress. It turns into depression, and it's just, it's a compounded issue that if it's not dealt with, will just continue to get worse. So I felt that it was really important to talk about burnout, because you're going to hear that throughout your careers. You're going to hear it several times. People will discuss firefighters dealing with burnout and how to identify burnout, how to fix the situations. And it's good not only for you to understand what burnout is for yourself, but it's also good for you to be able to keep your coworkers accountable. And if you start to see these symptoms in one of your coworkers, maybe it's a good time to intervene and talk to him, and maybe see if there's anything you can help to get him through that hard time, because we really never know how one person is going to react to a certain situation. If there's a multiple fatality that includes children, or maybe someone close to them, in our smaller communities, a lot of times you're going to run on people that you know and that you're close to, and those are hard to deal with sometimes, because you have that emotional connection as soon as you get on scene, and if it doesn't turn out well, then you're going to have that sense of guilt and responsibility, and it just compounds the situation. So I don't want to read it to you. I'll let you guys look over that, but burnout, the symptoms of it, and something that you need to really understand and be able to identify when you come into this kind of a career. I found this to be kind of interesting, that you might have burnout if, kind of reminds you of the redneck jokes, but every day is a bad day. Caring about your work or home life seems like a total waste of energy. You're just exhausted all the time. These are just kind of the situations that you're going to notice in yourself, and you might even notice it in some of your coworkers. So it's important that you identify these problems, and that you figure out what you need to fix the problem, because there's no textbook answer as to how a person should handle this, because everyone's going to deal with it differently. So I thought it was really important that we talk about some of the organized assistances. I know that in Chino Valley Fire we have the EAP, which is the Employee Assistance Program, and I know that I've utilized it. It's been very beneficial. It provides the assistance for behavioral health, for counseling, for any kind of situation. And it doesn't always have to be job related. If you're going through a divorce or a death in your family or something like that, and you just need to talk to somebody, it's a program that is paid for by the department, and all the employees are able to utilize that. It's completely confidential. It's a great program, and whoever you work for, or whatever employer you end up obtaining, it's a good idea to look in to see what that EAP program offers you. Some of the things, after a big incident, that they feel might cause some psychological issues, or could weigh on a person, and it could be something as simple as a full code. If you arrive to someone and you have to do CPR for the first time, maybe that's not going to sit well for you. There's two processes called debriefing and defusing, and I want you to understand the difference between those two. Defusing is an intervention that occurs very, very shortly after the incident, maybe a couple hours after the incident, where you get together. It's very informal. It doesn't really have like a counselor or anybody involved. It could just be done by maybe your supervisors, where they just sit down. It's not a time to critique the call. You just sit down and talk about it, maybe get some things off your chest right away. And it's a good idea just to take some notes to see, how you're dealing with that at that moment. And it should be done before 24 hours after the incident. And then you'll move into debriefing. That is a situation that is a little more formal. It's not mandatory. It's not something that they can make you do, but if your department may have some kind of policy that states if you're involved in this kind of an incident, you will be required to go through the critical incident stress debriefing, and that's done in a more formal process. But just remember that it's there for your benefit, it's there for your health, and it's also there to ensure that you're going to be okay to go on and conduct other incidents and other calls. Debriefing is something that happens after 24 hours from the incident, but no longer than 72 hours after the incident. And it's a little more formal. There could be a counselor involved in that, maybe some psychiatrist or psychologist that's brought in from a professional critical incident stress team, and they're going to be able to help you obtain some information on what you can do to make yourself feel better about what occurred. It's not a formal process, but some other assistance is just from your coworkers, your family, and your friends. I know that if I've had a rough shift or something's been weighing on me, as soon as I walk in the door at home, my wife's gotten to the point where she can see it on my face, and she's able to know whether or not she should be asking me how my day was or not. So, but that really helps, and then you just can kind of lean on them a little more, and they'll be able to help you through the situation and the times that you're going through. So before we end here, I wanted to give you guys some resources that I've used in the past. The IAFF has developed the Wellness Fitness Initiative, which is what we utilize in Chino Valley. And there's a section in there that talks about behavioral health. And it's going to talk a lot about what we just went over today. But it's a great website that you guys can go on and maybe read a little more about, so that you can increase your knowledge about the situation. Because it's, just like we work out to strengthen our muscles or to increase our flexibility so that we can have more ability on the job, our behavioral health is just as important, if not more. Because if we're not right in our minds and in our hearts to go out there and serve the public, we're not going to be able to provide any kind of service for them. So it's important that we utilize our behavioral health exercises just like anything else, that we take care of ourselves. We make sure we have a healthy lifestyle full of exercise, good rest, healthy nutrition, and just understanding when you need a break, because it's very important that you take a break on a regular basis and continue to provide for your coworkers and the community by taking care of yourself, because you're not going to do any good if you're a patient by yourself. So this other website, Mental Health America, is a really good website that's a little more formal, and it doesn't just focus on the fire aspect. So if you're having some other situation, you might be able to get some good material from that as well. Fire magazines, books, articles, if you go on the website and look up Fire Rescue or firechief.com, any of those kinds of things, they always have some kind of a section that talks about making sure that your behavioral health is a good lifestyle and good aspect of your daily living. So, if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to contact me. You can email me, or you can call my cell phone there. I hope you guys have gotten some kind of information out of this, and I hope your semester's going well. And please, let's continue to correspond through the classroom, and if you have anything that you feel you're struggling with or you need some more information on, you can always reach me or Josh, and we'll be happy to help you guys out. So thank you very much.
How about I start with half of that?
Yeah. Thank you for that good advice.
No problem.